We woke up day 3 on our Disney cruise in the island of Tortola in the Virgin Islands, and we had an excursion planned today for the day at the baths, which is actually at a smaller island close by, Virgin Gorda, that you do have to take a ferry to. Now, this excursion did not start well. It was actually pretty terrible. The smaller boat and ferry that we did take was so rough that my daughter threw up the entire time, and the crew actually told us it was the worst day at sea they've had all year. So they should have canceled this, and they didn't. This is footage of us on the boat, and it didn't seem that bad, but everyone was green. It took me everything not to throw up and just take care of her. So it was pretty miserable. But once we got there, things settled down a little bit. Once you arrive on the other island, they load you up on open air safari buses and take you over to the baths to start the tour. This was a quick trip, maybe 15 minutes, and at this point, everyone was very happy for the fresh air and to be on land because that trip over was really, really rough. The excursion was okay from here, but there were some other complications on the beach because the seas were so rough and people were getting injured left and right. Once the buses unload, you meet your tour guides, and this was a really fun part of the entire excursion. The walk to the baths is not hard terrain, it's a pretty easy walk. The tour guides are local, they were so sweet and so nice. All the kids gathered up in front, and he was telling them facts about the island and joking with them. He was a great tour guide and really made this part of the experience so much fun for everybody.
Only in Puerto Rico, and actually you can find them in other islands as well. You can find them in like Cuba, Jamaica.
All right, I've slowed this down dramatically so that you can see how far back the tour goes. If you want to hear what the tour guide is saying, hear the different facts and stories he's telling, try to get up front because there's no way people 10, 15 people back heard anything he was saying. So that's one negative to this tour. Luckily, we were up front.
Billy, do you want to pick one out?
No cactus.
Here, get
If you
close.
ever find a cactus anywhere in the world,
I can eat
the
that.
fruits are edible. Okay,
Oh, that's good to know.
for sure.
Here, get in there. You can
Wait.
pull one.
Is there another one?
Yeah, you want to pull it?
Yeah, I got it.
Be careful. Yeah.
Wow, that is so weird.
Yeah, kind of. You can find them mostly in the Caribbean and Florida as well. But
Most of the kids ended up pushing their way up front, and he really focused on showing them any animals he found, anything you could pull off trees and eat. So that was really nice. He definitely knew his audience and did a really good job.
What is that?
Is that a...
Is that edible?
yeah.
Eat it then.
No, something already ate it before me. So
what
I just
is
passed
that?
on it.
Whoa!
This is the fruit from the hairy cactus.
Wait, is there one more?
I would eat it.
No, don't touch.
On a regular day, I would eat it. Anyone here from Florida? No? None at all? Okay, so if you've ever been to Florida, you'll see like a bunch of these in a tree. This is our version of the...
Once you're done with the tour, you do go to Devil's Bay Beach. So the tour lets out and you walk onto the beach. They give you maybe, 20 minutes here tops to kind of get in the water and swim around before you do the cave tour, which is walking through what they call the baths. The other complication of this day, which I really could have never imagined, is because it was rough, and even though when you're looking at this footage, the waves don't look particularly rough, they really, really were. So there are tons of rocks and boulders underneath the water here as well. So a lot of those dark spots are not deeper spots, they're actually boulders and rocks. So people were getting thrown onto them under the water, and people were literally bleeding all over the shore. When I got into the water at the other beach, I immediately got pushed underwater, slammed against a rock, and ended up bleeding on the shore for a while. And it was really unexpected, but they should have never had us on the island this day. It was incredibly dangerous. Multiple people were bleeding on both beaches. I only spent a few minutes in the water at the first beach because I could tell that it was just really, really rough and I was uncomfortable. So Then we went ahead and went over to do the tour of the baths, and this was pretty amazing. So, this is the part of the baths where they do warn you that you need to be very mobile, very agile, able to climb down ladders, climb up a ladder, fit through narrow spaces. As you can see right here, this is a really narrow space that we all had to squeeze through. I would not bring shoulder bags like this guy has in front of us or the gal in front of us. I would make sure anything you have is able to be put into a backpack or a fanny pack and that your hands are completely free. Otherwise, this could be quite dangerous. You are crawling under different areas, rock formations, boulders, all of that kind of thing. Water shoes, like my daughter has on in front of me here, are recommended and pretty necessary. There's a brand I really like, I'll link down below, that I've used for multiple trips around the Caribbean and Mexico. But look at this cool formation. There were cool formations everywhere. At this point, I went ahead and just hung my phone around my neck and hit video so that I could be safe and walk through this with you guys and show you what we saw.
So you have to turn around a little bit through.
Okay.
Just turn around a little bit, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So your group could have 20, 30 people in a line. So they definitely do tell you to tell the person behind you what to do or any cautionary things to note. So the tour guide is up front saying, turn around like a ladder on this one. It's easier. Or watch out, the stairs are tilted. Or for this one, take off your shoes. And then it is expected that you tell the person behind you, and it's a telephone situation so that everyone gets the safety information that is being told by the person up front. Otherwise, you just wouldn't know. So everyone was super friendly and really good about disseminating that information to the person behind them so that everyone was nice and safe. I will speed up through the rest of this, but if you are curious about the rest of the terrain, you can keep watching this part. It was really amazing. And like I said before, you definitely have to be agile. There are places where you're going to have to duck and not quite crawl, but kind of do what I'm doing, where you're squatting and walking. Um, Nothing is too narrow that the average person couldn't fit through, but you definitely want, these are my Tivas. Yeah, Tivas are water shoes. I really wish I would have brought my other pair of water shoes, which were in the cruise ship cabin, and I let my daughter wear the water shoes I brought because, of course, she insisted she wasn't going to wear them, and then in the end wanted mine. But look how cool this is. I would have liked more time to just explore on our own in here, but they encourage you to stay pretty much with your group. But there's plenty of time to poke around and look. But I will say, like, the people in front of us kept taking their shoes on and off and just holding up the whole line. So just buy the water shoes. Again, I'll link them below to a brand I really like. It's worth it, and they last forever, and you can use them for other things like rocky beaches or even on like hot summer days when sand or like pool surfaces are warm. Water shoes are really helpful. So I think overall this only took about a half hour to get through. It wasn't a really long, strenuous activity. It's just challenging to navigate. So you can see, like, this gal was putting her shoes on um, after taking them off, and it held up. All of these people are just standing around waiting for her. So just don't do that. Just get water shoes. And that guy had to take his slides off because slides are incredibly dangerous. You will actually hurt yourself if you're wearing slides on some of these surfaces. So just do the water shoes. You're not going to regret it. This spot right here, there was a guide down below who was telling people if you do not have water shoes on, take your shoes off in either barefoot or water shoes because this was damp and you would slide down it. So there is a rope on the left there that I held, but I took his advice and I took my Tevas off to get down. And you can see there's a fair amount of water. You are going to get wet. So just keep that in mind. But how cool is this? It was beautiful. Like I said, I would have liked to have even more time in here just to poke around. So I'll definitely go back. This was a really, really cool experience. Sorry, my finger's in the way of the camera there. I must have been trying to hold it up to show you guys a different view. And you'll see here in a second, like right to the very end, there are places where you do just have to duck down and through little canals so that you don't completely like bonk your head. But nothing too crazy. The average healthy person can absolutely do this. So when you come out of the baths and the caves, you get to the other beach that they have you spend some time at. You can get to this a different way without going through the caves. So this was the beach where I did end up getting hurt. You can see a little bit better in this footage how aggressive the waves were. And I got in right in the middle just because I wanted to get in the ocean and was immediately slammed by a wave, thrown to the bottom, and there were rocks. So I cut up my knee and my leg and ended up sitting on the beach bleeding, which all those people behind there on those trees all were bleeding as well. So I just really wish that they would not have allowed us to go that day, but unfortunately, the guides don't get paid. So they're not going to recommend that Disney cancel anything, but it was really disappointing. I did write an email to Disney afterwards and expressed my disappointment because I felt like it was incredibly unsafe and that they were not being good stewards of their guests. So that was definitely a negative. But when you're done, you do walk back up to the top of the island where there's a restaurant. Now, this path is long and it was a hard trek. I mean, there were people that were huffing and puffing. So, again, make sure you're mobile and able to really make the journey. Up by the restaurant, there's beautiful gardens, bathrooms. A band was playing. They were really fun and they serve you a decent meal. It's not great, but you get a ticket with your cruise ship and it's acceptable for the destination and what it is.
Appreciate you all, man. Welcome to paradise, man. If you want to have a great time in the BB.
So when you're done for the day, you hop back on the buses to get back to the ferry. Overall, this was about a 3.5, 4-hour excursion, so not very long. The ferry ride back, Billy threw up the whole time, and it was so rough that a young kid fell over because he was just pushed and jostled by the waves. They had to fill out an injury report. It started pouring, and everyone was soaked. I mean, it was kind of awful and a really hard excursion. So I would say just beware. If it's rough conditions and you're able to cancel, I would cancel, and I would only do this on ideal days. So I hope if you do go to the baths, you have a better experience than we did and that you do it on a nice, calm day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.